listening to the Ecosystem Approach show. I'm Jason.
And I'm Patricia. Tune in every Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific Time and 4 p.m. Eastern Time on Transformation Talk Radio.
We discovered that human potential is severely limited when you program humans like a machine, which is standard practice today for self-improvement.
The Ecosystem Approach teaches you how to uncover your infinite potential by using natural methods that are truly revolutionary. Join us now for the Ecosystem Approach show. Are members of Gen Z generation lazy? We never like to categorize members of groups because we always like to look at the uniqueness of people. But today, we'll talk about how Gen Z understands the nature of work in ways that are in alignment. This is interesting to me with the age of Aquarius and the new attitudes about work in the world today. We are married intuitives with over 20 years experience who created the Ecosystem Approach for you. This is much different because we see human beings as ecosystems that need to be restored instead of programmed. We show you how to take an energy approach for internal discovery that is rational, practical, and useful for everyday life. Jason, all right, what do you see about Gen Z and how does that affect how they work?
Well, first, these are gross generalizations. So understand that that's the case. We always like to look at people in their uniqueness, but that's part of the ecosystem approach. Right. But we see the buildup of negative effects of programming, and at the same time, this is the beginning of the age of Aquarius, which, if you don't know, is an astrological age which sets the energy for the next 2,200 years. It's a long time.
Wow. Okay. I didn't know it was that long.
Yes, okay. It's really long. So, and I just want to say, and we've said this before, but I think it's really important.
Okay.
When we talk about these insights, these come, we're talking about a combination of our life experience.
Okay.
We're old,
Wait.
and the clarity that comes from using refined intuition and evolved consciousness. Now, that's what happens when you use the ecosystem approach. Intuition is not all the same, and consciousness that many people have is not all the same.
Correct.
And by removing the negative energy that's attached to you, that refinement continues. And we see it. We've been doing this over 23 years now. And the things we're starting to see, OMG, oh my gosh, there's all the stuff that we're getting, that we know, that we see, that's becoming so clear to us.
Correct.
And we want to share that with you. And that's what we're doing in these shows.
Right.
And this is different than scientific inquiry, because scientific inquiry only deals with the tangible.
Meaning, such as the tangible, something that somebody can touch,
see, measure, in a way that is consistent. But when you start working with the non-physical dimension, the world of energy, it explodes, and what we're seeing is amazing. Now, stay tuned. We've got some shows coming up that are really neat. We're gonna talk about the nature of stupidity next week. We don't want you to go to experts, or we don't want you to see us as the experts. What we want is to help you. This is all part of the ecosystem approach. We want to help you develop your own refined intuition and evolved consciousness so that you can have these abilities for yourself, and maybe in your corner of the world, start to have these insights and expertise and apply it to what expertise that you already have.
Correct.
To make it more useful and beneficial
for you.
Yes.
For you personally.
Yes.
And remember, everything starts with us personally. And I know in business, you're not supposed to take things personal or that sort of thing. But I don't care who you are. You actually do. But we can also help you with that one. I realize that's not the show today.
Well, and so if this interests you, you can go to our website right now,
Mhm.
theecosystemapproach.org, sign up for our free section. OMG, just be on this ride with us. Develop your own abilities
and have fun.
And then we'll share our insights.
Yes.
But we really want the people that are using the ecosystem approach to validate what we see and or create more clarity in the areas that they work with.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
I pulled up an article from Forbes magazine. It's a business magazine. And there was a social psychologist who was talking about the problem with Gen Zers.
Okay.
He was saying that they have what he sees on campus.
Okay.
He's a professor. I believe it was Harvard, if I'm not mistaken. But anyways, he's a professor, and what he sees with Gen Zers on campus is that they've got three basic ideas that are causing problems with them. He was being very critical. But the first one was, what doesn't kill you makes you weaker. In other words, he sees Gen Zers as avoiding any sort of risk, trying to put themselves out there, trying to explore the world in a way that's confident and courageous.
Okay.
They always trust their feelings, and that life is a battle between good people and evil. Now, I would say I have a different perspective. We have a different perspective about that.
Wait a minute. What a surprise, huh?
But we know, and we've been saying this to clients for years now, you can't trust your feelings, especially if there's negative energy attached. We have an article on our website, and if you haven't signed up, you can go to our website right now and sign up. There's a 2-part article about the 80%, which is the negative energy that's attached to you,
right?
That keeps you from being able to trust your feelings.
Correct.
And that this black and white thinking of good and evil is so not true. And most of the evil that we see in the world is attached to you. And that's not a criticism. That's just an understanding of the way it is.
Well, and we've seen it in not only in ourselves, but in all of our clients. We've seen how this 80% keeps everyone in their way from going forward.
So the other thing that we see about Gen Zers is that they're reflecting the accumulated effects of programming.
Really important. You might want to say that again.
That Gen Zers, they've gotten to this point where they're accumulating all these negative effects of programming that we've been talking about in all of our shows.
Correct.
And what it does is creates fears, lack of confidence, the buildup of negative emotions, which this social psychologist was talking about, out of control emotions, which is your emotions tell you the truth. Well, no, they don't. When they're out of control, when they're suppressed, they're out of control. And then the black and white thinking, which is very much a part of programming.
Right.
So what we see is the seeds of the age of Aquarius. And in the age of Aquarius in Gen Z, that is a energy for more democratic structures. No fear of speaking up to power.
Oh, that's interesting.
No acceptance of the status quo. More overt rebellion and an openness to change.
Okay.
I love that. I've got a lot of Aquarius in my natal chart. If you understand that sort of thing, if you don't worry about it. But that's what we see in Gen Z, and they're like babies in a way, trying to implement some of these more democratic structures, speaking up to power. They don't know how to do it. They're not very sophisticated, and as a result, they get criticized.
Right.
Here's the other part, and I just added this, so you didn't see this earlier.
Okay.
And this is a little nerdy. She knows I'm nerdy, so
Okay.
There's an acceptance. There's a change from using economic capital, which is a fancy way of saying money, to human capital.
Excuse me. That is profound.
Well, it is. And now that we know, we've been hearing about AI all over the place.
Exactly.
Artificial intelligence.
Right.
So all these things that just...
By the way, even I know what that is, everyone.
that you can program people to do. You put, go from inbox to outbox, inbox to outbox. Pretty soon, computers are going to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So how do human beings keep ahead of that
and survive all of it?
And survive. And if you have a business
Right.
You're going to have to you're going to be forced to switch from economic capital to human capital more and more. Well, how do you do that? Well, in a nutshell, using the ecosystem approach,
Yes.
what's going to happen is businesses are going to be required not to have programmed employees like machines.
Correct.
We always keep saying you're not a machine, but to have more evolved individuals that can keep ahead
of the machines,
of the artificial intelligence.
Right.
They don't want employees that are machines waiting to be programmed. They need people that can think outside the box in a way that is truly revolutionary.
Right.
And how do you do that? It's not something that you take a course where you push yourself, you drive yourself,
right,
and do the normal programming things. It's from using an energy approach, the ecosystem approach,
right,
uncovering that part of you that can outpace the machines, outthink the machines.
Okay.
Because what happens is you start to uncover who you are authentically. Your intuition becomes more refined.
It's unreal.
Your consciousness is more evolved.
Oh yeah.
So anyways, that's it in a nutshell. We're gonna talk some more about this.
Okay.
And we have a lot to talk about in this show today.
We do.
Too much?
Probably, but that's okay.
So we're gonna do some more discussion next segment. And
okay.
I apologize. I'm trying to make this less of a lecture and more of conversational.
But I want to say, I think that how you presented the first part of this will really help the rest of the show.
Well, and I'm glad, because she didn't kick me on the table, so I know that's true. So she's and if you ever see our show, if you listen to it's one thing, but if you see it,
yes,
you see the top half, but the bottom half, there's a lot of stuff going on. We should probably have some sort of camera.
Okay.
Anyways,
so Jason, what are the key points of this segment?
Today we see the buildup of negative effects of programming and the beginning of the age of Aquarius. The accumulated effects of programming today, fears, no confidence, black and white thinking, crazy emotions, all come from programming.
Correct.
Which is a form of negative energy. The age of Aquarius, using democratic structures, no fear of confronting power, rejection of status quo, and openness to change is coming about now. And that's what you're seeing with these Gen Zers.
Yes.
And the ecosystem approach teaches you to be open to change and make it benefit you in a way that's in alignment with your unique self and authentic self.
I love that. In the next segment, we're going to talk about the nature of the work and the subtle manipulations that are so prevalent that many have just accepted it as, quote, that's the way it is. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia, and you're listening to Transformation Talk Radio. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason, and I'm Patricia. And in this segment, we're going to talk about the nature of work and the subtle manipulations that are so prevalent that many have just accepted it as the way it is. Jason, what do you mean by manipulations that have been programmed into us about work?
Well, we have been programmed with work attitudes, beliefs, and that benefit the employer, not the employee.
And now that is a huge statement.
It is, and frankly, I've been one of those.
Me too.
Everybody's most people that I've worked for have thought I've been a good worker. I have a can-do attitude, and we're going to go through some of these and kind of expose them. So let's just jump in.
All right, go ahead.
It's ironic. I was the most stressed when I was in the work world, working for an art college, being versus I was in the military, the Army, and we were in a go-to-war unit. Now that could be really stressful.
Correct.
Because they had this overarching purpose that, hey, this is about defending our country.
Right.
But ironically, this art college, because of the dysfunction of the owner, was far more stressful. Yes. And we'll talk some more about that over here. But let's talk about some of those values.
Okay.
That let's kind of take them apart. One of the first things that employers want is having they used to say this in the Army, okay? If they were going to give you a bad job like cleaning a latrine or digging a foxhole,
Okay.
they say to you, this is an opportunity for you to excel, which
is code for,
or you're getting a bad job. I'd use more colorful language, but we're on the radio,
yes,
so
exactly. Thank you.
But and the Army had lots of those,
Yeah.
but for the most part, they inspired a very strong work ethic that really benefited the Army, not necessarily the individual. And a lot of people, I saw this while I was in, broke down under the pressure of being a certain way,
Yes. Yes.
So another thing that employers look for, enthusiasm for the job. Well, here's the truth of it.
Yeah.
It's not natural for people to be enthusiastic without knowing or having a real connection to the topic.
Exactly.
One of my first jobs.
And by the way, that's one of the things that Gen Zers are saying, wait a minute, you haven't really told me all about the job. So until you do, I'm not going to get real excited about it.
Exactly. And
so I jumped in. I apologize.
The thing is that if you're going to be enthusiastic about the job, without knowing about it, that's programming. That's treating yourself like a machine. That's treating your employees like a machine.
And letting an employer treat you like a machine.
Exactly.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. Having a strong work ethic. Most employers expect that. They want that.
Sure.
But again, human beings don't have a strong work ethic unless there's a reason.
Okay.
One of the jobs that I had out of college, I was an assistant manager. This is in Detroit, and it was a transportation company that moved cars.
Okay.
And I was assistant terminal manager for this place that was right outside the Ford factory.
Okay.
One of my jobs, which I had a strong work ethic, but I hated this part, was to walk around the car and look for any dings and stuff.
Sure.
So because if there's a ding already, and they transport the car and they get to the dealership, and we've documented that the ding came from the factory that way.
Right.
The car company wouldn't have to pay for it.
I see.
I hated that. I was so bored. I'd rather
if the ding talked to him or things like that would have been different.
I'd rather have, this is from my Army days, bamboo shoots under my fingernails, than do this part of the job.
Right.
And it just, anyways, so I had a strong work ethic, but not for that. Okay. Employers want people that are motivated to grow and learn. Well, motivation comes from interest.
Okay.
I don't really, if I have to motivate you, I'm programming you.
Yes.
If your natural interest, well, in a way, this is changing the subject, but that's been our marriage.
Exactly.
That's
what I was thinking.
Is it?
Yeah, it's exactly what I was thinking.
Well, we'll go. Yeah.
Well, in other words, because we clean the energy up between us daily. It's not just once every 2 or 3 days or once a week or once a month. We clean the energy up all the time. And what we found is that we don't have to motivate ourselves and each other to do things. I mean, there's certain things that you have to do. In other words, you need to be able to eat. You need to be able to live in my opinion, a clean environment, things like that. I don't need motivation for any of those things.
Well, wait a minute. You're not thinking it from a man's point of view.
Well, yeah, no, we're not going to go there at the moment. The point that I'm getting at is that when you use the ecosystem approach, that motivation comes naturally. It's not a part of programming. It comes from within. It comes from your essence to do what's right.
Well, and that's all true.
Okay.
Here's the other part of it. Okay. Because I saw who she was more motivated. Hear this, guys. Come on. Alert. Because I saw who she was and helped her be that authentic person, she was more motivated to be a great wife for me personally. That's very selfish of me, but oh my gosh, it really works.
Well, it's selfish for me too, but we don't need to go there. It's the wrong show for that.
Well, and if you don't see me winking right now, so
exactly. But there's a couple more parts here, Jason, The motivation is really important, but when you use the ecosystem approach, you don't need to be motivated. You already are. There's a couple other things. What about loyalty?
Yes. Employees expect it, but it's often a one-way street. True loyalty comes from actions over time, which
Correct.
is, as an employer, I care about my employees. Employees are saying, you want me to be loyal to you, but then you treat me like this. You want me to be loyal to you, and then you treat me like this, and there's this disconnect.
Yeah.
Now we see this in the political arena, that their employers are saying, hey, we don't want a socialistic country, and they're making all this propaganda about giving employees benefits and calling it socialism. Oh, by the way, that's not socialism. Giving time off and good compensation, that is not socialism. What it does, it takes
good
less
benefits.
Yes, it's taking money from the highest economic class and transferring it into the lower economic classes, and even within a company, it's doing that.
Right.
So here's the other one. Oh, this is a huge one. Professionalism.
Okay.
It's often defined by the employer as just do what I tell you to do and shut up about it.
Right.
If you don't like it, don't give me any
grief about it,
pushback, anything. I did, just do it.
Yes.
And is that really professionalism?
Right.
I guess it's all semantical.
It could be. Could be.
It's I often hear it now, and it's kind of a trap. So here's the other thing. How do bosses and employers create dysfunctional cultures?
They oftentimes just have to walk into the room.
Yes. Well,
and you know what? I know that might have sounded really bitter from me. But until we started working on our own, that was what I saw everywhere I went.
Well, and there was a personality type.
Yes.
For a boss, especially where we met at this art college, which I was talking about, and it was very dysfunctional. I know I had an example of a boss who I knew about, was an 8 on the Enneagram. If you understand the Enneagram, he was an 8. He likes to establish his authority, and he did it by having everyone to come to work at 8 o'clock in the morning. Now, this is a long time before what we know now, and after the pandemic and remote work. But
that was the rule.
That was the rule.
I remember that rule very well.
The person I was talking to was not a morning person. And, and she would often work late and put in the hours, but that rule that says you have to be in there by 8 to establish authority for him, it was just really toxic. Yes,
very, very toxic. And not to mention, it didn't work well for the person who struggled to function at 8 o'clock, and actually starting at 6.
Exactly.
In the morning.
So here's the other thing. Do employees see things from a different perspective than their bosses?
Well, yeah.
Even if your boss is open-minded.
Correct.
And they are generally restricted to maintaining the culture that they have no control over.
Right.
So if your boss says, oh, I don't care if you come in at 8 or not, but the boss's boss
says you have to better be here at 8,
you don't really have a lot of choice.
Exactly.
I remember, this was a good example. This was I was in the military, and the guy that was in charge of our unit, I was in military intelligence. He had just become a warrant officer. He was enlisted, and then he became a warrant officer, and he rolled his eyes to a captain because the captain wanted him to do things that
he didn't want to do.
No, that was contrary to what we're taught.
Oh, I see.
That was not good process.
Oh, yeah.
It was
sure.
But in the Army, you don't have any choice about that.
Yes. Well, but most employers believe that you don't have any choice. If I ask you to do something, you had better do it.
Well, in the Army, that's the way it is.
No, I know that, but employers as well believe that same philosophy. Now I realize things bend and weave a little bit, but it's not.
People can be fired for not being a team player.
Exactly.
And I know we're almost out of time. I'm getting the nudge under the
thing.
But here's the most important part.
Okay.
I think Gen Zers have a greater insight into their parents and work structures.
Yes.
Because they see their parents working too much and not spending enough time in the family.
Correct.
And they weren't rewarded for it.
Yes.
Gen Zers see that.
Mhm.
They see that
It created a lot of
they made
toxic stuff.
sacrifices
Yes.
that weren't worth it in the end.
Correct.
So and even parents who even when they're there, they're not present because
Right.
there is so
Because
much
there's
work
so much
stress.
work. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yes, I
So
agree.
I think we've reached a tipping point with the hypocrisy and the obvious dysfunction.
Yes,
And this is all the result of the energy of the age of Aquarius.
exactly. Jason, what are the key points of this segment?
We have been programmed with work attitudes, beliefs that benefit the employer, not the employee.
Mhm.
Manipulations include being a team player, having a can-do attitude. Hard work is rewarded. No. Looking like you're working hard, you
Yeah.
know.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
And
Sell that a lot.
most employers can't evaluate the best performers. We didn't really talk about that, but
Okay.
most employers really can't evaluate the best employers,
No, they
and they
can't.
lack self-insight and the ability to evaluate true performance.
Exactly.
And the ecosystem approach is designed to help you work smarter and have the confidence to advocate for yourself with an employer.
In the next segment, we're going to talk about how to implement these ideas about work for you personally. We'll discuss how to resolve the disparity between the beliefs of your employer and the way you want to work. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia, and you're listening to Transformation Talk Radio. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason, and I'm Patricia. And in this segment, we're going to talk about how to implement these ideas about work for you personally. We'll discuss how to resolve the disparity between the beliefs of your employer and the way you want to work. Okay, Jason, knowing the theories and the philosophies is one thing, but how do we help the audience implement a better way to work?
Most people their first reaction is to do something. Quit your job, start looking for a new one, start a business, all
Sure.
those things.
Sure.
Frankly, sometimes that's okay. And I don't know your each individual circumstance.
Right.
But the first thing is something that is much slower, and that's to know yourself first, which
It's
can take
really
a while.
important.
It can take a while. It
Of
can
course.
take years.
Sure.
And we're a big advocate of self-employment.
Yes.
In essence, we are self-employed.
Correct.
But it requires a lot of self-knowledge.
Yes.
And contrary to what most people say about the reason most small businesses fail, and you don't hear this, but it's the owner.
Yeah.
It's the person who starts
True.
it, and because they're basically in some way they're not good enough. Now, we're going to do more shows about this going forward.
Okay.
I really want to be an advocate for small business, but you have to understand that how the world works today.
Yes.
And you get that from using the ecosystem approach.
Mm-hmm.
And the most important thing is that self-knowledge.
Yeah.
I started a business one time in an area that was boring. I mean, I know it sounds stupid now, and because I know myself so much better now, but it made really good sense on paper, but except for the fact that
You
I
didn't
hated
like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of
That's
dumb.
kind of interesting, but that's, beside the point. Well, the bottom line is that self-insight. Most beginners of a business, the first thing they look for is what's going to make money and what's going to make money fast.
Yes.
That's not self-insight, everyone. You might want to discuss that part, but that's not self-insight, because when you want to do these things to make money fast, have you even asked yourself the question, am I capable of doing this?
Well, here's the other part of that. Self-insight is really important.
Yes.
Most people miss this part.
Okay.
Which is having the courage and the confidence.
Yes.
And this is part of the ecosystem approach.
Correct.
Also.
Correct.
The first part is self-insight, and the second part is being able to implement it in the world.
Right.
So if you're this creative person,
right,
and you want to put that out in the world, you also have to have a certain level of confidence and ability to self-promote.
Oh, and that's one of the hardest things that in my journey through life to see. I see that I'm going to say about 93% of people I know they cannot self-promote, whether they're doing their own business or working for someone else.
I think it's 93 and 7/10.
Oh,
Anyways, I'm just teasing her. But most people, we can't. We worked with a lot of artists.
yes.
Self-promotion is a big deal. And they say, well, how do I do that? What kind of, they look for some sort of energy trick
Right.
to help do that. And you can use those things. Here's the thing. And I remember this is a really horrific example, but there was this book, Viktor Frankl. He talked about he was in a Nazi concentration camp, and in terms of work, in terms of having no power whatsoever,
correct.
That's the epitome of no power. But he said he found this place within himself, which is what we work with in the ecosystem approach, which is your soul.
Correct.
We call it essence, that your employer can't touch.
That's right.
And if you can start, what the ecosystem approach is all about is going to that part, making it stronger and stronger and stronger.
And how you do that is by removing the negative energies that are blocking you from even connecting with that place within you that has the insight, that has the understanding of, in a concentration camp, do I do this or do I do that? What's going to cause pain here for me, but what's going to cause pain in another place for the rest of the people that I'm with?
Yes.
You have to have the ability to have that insight. In other words, rocking the boat in a concentration camp is not a good idea. Let me just say that straight up.
And that's not a good example in terms of work, but it is a good example. If you're in a bad job, you have to start on that. You have to get solid. It's what it is. From the inside out.
Yes.
When you're solid on the inside and say, this is who I am, world, basically take it or leave it, which of course, that's the whole topic of the show today, because Gen Zers, even though they may be awkward in the way they do that.
Sure.
Like a little kid trying to be sophisticated, they're saying, this is who I am. And I'm going to put that out in the world.
Right.
The ecosystem approach teaches you how to make that part solid. Strong.
And in that solid and strong, this is really important, everyone. What the ecosystem approach actually gives you when you start using it, it gives you, quote, the confidence to walk into any room and deal with whatever comes your way and do it well. It's almost like you go, oh my gosh, I handled that with a grain of salt. 1 grain of salt as opposed to, the whole thing. And it's amazing because it happens naturally.
Yes.
It's awesome.
What people don't understand. Well, let's move on here.
Okay.
This is the question that people are asking.
Okay.
So we'll deal with it right off. How do you resolve the disparity between the beliefs of your employer and the way you want to work?
Correct.
Internally first.
Yes.
It has to be internally first.
Because when you use the ecosystem approach, it gives you a 360 view of negative energies or blocks.
Yes.
You could say it that way. And then you can remove that negative energy and go, oh, I never saw it from that perspective.
It gives you tools and power.
Absolutely. It's awesome.
Yes.
It really, really is.
And often you can't really change your employer, but you can change your internal landscape. And when that part inside of you becomes stronger and solid,
exactly,
then you say, okay, well, maybe I can go out and find a job over here.
Yeah.
Or maybe I can negotiate for a better job within my own company. Yeah. Maybe I can, there's all sorts of options that become available to you.
Exactly.
Here's the other part, and I need to really talk about this.
Okay.
Self-employment is attractive, but it requires that you have enough evolution to implement that self-insight and to play the game and work the way you want. So most people forget when you go on your own, you still have to deal with the market and competition for business.
Right.
And
that's the game thing you're talking about.
That's the game thing. And it requires that you play the game in a way that forces you to act in a way that might have made you quit in the first place.
Right.
Let me give you an example.
Okay.
You have some sort of consulting business where you offer your services. Client calls and offers you a great job, but you have to miss your daughter's recital. Ooh. If you say no, you may not get any more work from that person.
Okay.
And if you say yes, you'll be working in a way that made you want to go out on your own in the first place.
Correct.
What do? There's no answer to that. There's no good answer to that. That has to come from within.
Okay.
But that's the problem that most people, when they go out on their own, think I can avoid all that.
Oh yeah, no, that doesn't happen.
The problem with business today, it's been gamified. You know,
Big time.
the money system today has been gamified. So it's not about the best rising to the top.
Right.
It's literally who plays the game the best.
Right.
So
and you know what? I really, really like the way you said that, the
yes.
gamified and all of it. It's really, really important. So, Jason, let's do key points.
Yep.
Let's tell everyone how to do the removing of negative energy. And then in the next segment, we'll definitely help you do removing of negative energy.
We'll start that process.
All right, Jason, what are the key points?
Self-insight, confidence, and courage is essential, but many struggle to implement that self-insight and knowledge. Self-employment is attractive, but requires that you have enough evolution to implement that self-insight in creative ways.
I love that.
And being self-employed could create the same situations as an employee that you must do to survive in your business. And the ecosystem approach teaches you how to uncover yourself and then apply that knowing to your work, life, and behavior.
Love it. So with that said, Jason, let's tell everyone how to remove negative energy, and then we'll talk about life force, and then we'll meet everybody back here in just a moment.
Yes.
To do remove negative energy.
So one of the most important parts is that most people think that you have to be reverent. You have to be like you're praying, like you're subordinating yourself. And energy doesn't require that you do that at all. And so you can stand, sit, lay down, stand on your head. It doesn't really matter.
Oftentimes I exercise and remove negative energy. It really helps. And by the way, when you do that, you're a whole lot less sore.
Yes. Well, and you can also do
That's just a little note.
Do it in the shower while you're
everywhere.
doing dishes, something mindless. Anyways,
okay.
If I would have done that while I was walking around those cars and looking for the dings, I would have been a lot happier.
Yes, you would have.
But anyways, I probably would have missed a lot of stuff too at the same time. So that wasn't the job for me. Anyways, so
good insight.
So when we say and to eliminate, it's either a specific emotion, barriers, veils, and illusions. So imagine those things in your mind's eye, in your imagination, gather them up from the tips of your toes and blow them into the processor. I know Pacey's going to put a picture of the processor up for you right now.
Thank you, Pacey.
It goes on the top and is processed, comes out neutral.
Yes.
And that image seems a little creative. Patricia drew that actually, and we like it. There's people kind of love it after a while.
They do.
You know, you develop a relationship with it. But anyways, it's that simple.
Okay.
Breathing harder doesn't move the energy anymore.
Exactly.
Being specific is probably the most important part of that.
Exactly. And then the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to activate life force. Life force is the most powerful energy that any of us has access to. We're going to call upon it. We're going to ask it to come in through the top of our head. We're going to ask it to go all the way to the tips of our toes. We're going to stop it there. We're going to ask it to turn around and remove more negative energy by blowing it into the processor. So with that said, stay tuned. When we come back, we're going to help you to get started to remove the negative energy so you can have a better work life and move towards working in the best way for you. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia, and you're listening to Transformation Talk Radio. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason, and I'm Patricia. And in this segment, we're going to help you start to remove the negative energy so you can have a better work life and move towards working in the best way possible for you. Jason, you ready to get started?
Here we go.
Okay.
I direct all my resources in all dimensions to eliminate the barriers so I can see that Gen Z are reflecting the new values and energies of the age of Aquarius. Take a breath. Gather up those barriers, blow them into the process so you can see them on the screen right now.
Exactly. All right. We're going to shorten it up just a little bit and to eliminate the barriers so I can see that the negative effects of programming are apparent in a way, in the way people are working. We don't have to do that anymore, but take it easy on yourself. Take a nice breath. Blow it away.
And to eliminate the intense feelings of worry, anxiety, and stress that I have that comes from too much programming. So,
It's a big one.
just we can clear those feelings first. That's the first step.
Yeah.
Take a breath.
And throw them away. And to eliminate any feelings of fear and hurt and shame that I have, because the way I'm working, I know is toxic to me. Start with yourself. Remove that toxic energy. You could start right there. Throw it away.
And to eliminate the barrier so I can see that self-employment can allow more freedom, but I also need self-insight and the ability to apply that insight.
And
Take a
that
breath.
you get
Yes.
from the ecosystem approach.
Yes.
Take a breath. Throw it away. And to eliminate the barriers so I can see that I need both insight and courage to implement that insight. That is very profound. Take a breath.
And if that speaks to you, if that says, yeah, that's what I need to do.
Yeah.
That's me. That's what I'm going to do.
Okay.
Go to our website right now, theecosystemapproach.org. Sign up for our free section. You get a weekly newsletter that has these clearings, has all the wording that you have to use. It's a picture of the processors right there. And I give you a couple paragraphs of the backstory.
Right.
A lot of times I tell stories about Patricia, so it's really a good thing to have. So go there right now. If you're ready to
you can ignore it too.
to have more self-insight, self-knowledge, so you can have a better work life.
Yeah.
That's what you need to do that right now if you could.
Okay. I love that.
So now I lost my place.
Okay. Any feelings of fear and terror? That
And
one?
to eliminate any feelings of fear and terror that I have about finding my best work situation.
Which, by the way, it took me a long time. Had I had the ecosystem approach, it wouldn't have taken me that long. Take a breath. And by the way, I do want to say this. We've been taught that you should only have one job your entire life. And I'm here to tell you that Gen Zers are basically saying, no, there's so many things I want to do. I'll do this for a while. I'll do that for a while. And it's okay.
Well, and we see that human beings being human beings, they have multiple talents in a lot of different areas.
Yeah.
And if employers were more creative, they'd say, well, I see you doing well over here. Why don't you try this for a little bit and then do this for a little bit and develop the whole person, as opposed to just having them do one thing and one thing like a machine.
That. Okay. So, and to eliminate the barrier so I can see that I have power to create a better work situation, but I also need some patience. Take a breath. Okay.
And to eliminate any resentment that I have about how I've been treated at work. Everybody has it. Clear right now because it's getting in your way.
By the way, this is the first job that I haven't thought that about how I've been treated at work. I don't have to think about that anymore because I have the ecosystem approach and it works. So,
and she gets over on me all the time because, you know, for things that would probably be illegal in other companies.
Probably. Anyway, so go ahead.
And now I lost my place again. And to eliminate any resistance I have to seeing my values about my work life and seeing if they serve me.
That's huge, everyone. Take a deep breath from your toes. Lift that negative energy up that's keeping you to see if your job is serving you, if it's worth your attention. Throw all that negative energy away. And to eliminate the veils and illusions so I can see that having a better work life always starts, here it is, with true self-knowledge and insight. Take a breath.
And to eliminate the barriers so I can see I've programmed myself for work, but it may not be in my best interest.
True. Take a breath. Blow it out. And to eliminate the veils and illusions so I can see that most work values favor the employer, not me. Take a breath.
And to eliminate the programming that pushes me to work in a way that is not in my highest and best interest.
Take a breath. And blow it out. And to eliminate the barriers so I can use the ecosystem approach to have the insight, power, and courage to create a perfect work life for me. Nice and easy. Take a breath. throw away all those blocks. So we ready to do some
Yeah,
life force?
let's
Here
do
we
that.
go. Follow along. I direct all my resources in all dimensions to activate life force energy, the most powerful energy that anyone has access to. I'm going to activate it. I'm going to ask it to go all the way in to the, into the top of my head, all the way to the tips of my toes. And now I'm going to ask it to turn around and start to heal all the spots where that toxic energy of work and the toxic energy of your life and the toxic energy of taking everything personally is. Nice and easy. Pull up that negative energy and throw it away. You don't need it. Remember, when it goes into the processor, it gets processed and comes out neutral, helping you and the entire environment. It's amazing. Jason?
And to activate life force so I can have hope to have a work life that serves me and benefits me. Take a breath.
Here and blow it out. And to activate life force so I can trust that the power is within me to do whatever I need to do to have my best life. And by the way, that's exactly what Jason and I have done. Nice and easy. Pull it in and blow out any negative energy.
And to activate life force so I can decide to focus on self-insight, self-knowledge for a better work life.
Nice and easy. Pull it in. Tips of your toes, stop it right there. Blow out any negative energy left over. You don't need that negative energy anymore. It's not serving you. And last one, and to activate life force so I can be happy and healthy, creative, be objective and have indifference, but also have the ability to heal the wounds of the past, but also see what's in my best interest and remove the negative energies that are blocking me from having the best life that I can have starting today. Nice and easy. Pull it in. Blow out any negative energies left over. And by the way, I can't resist this next one. Jason, what are we going to talk about next week?
She knows I was looking forward to this. It's the title is called Collective Stupidity, and does it exist?
Wait. Yeah.
And this came about from a neuroscientist who was writing about collective stupidity. Now he had an agenda.
Okay.
And he was talking about politics on one hand,
all right,
and he's also talking about the controversy between the vaccines and the anti-vaxxers.
Okay.
But we're going to take it one step further in a way that I think will be shocking even to him if he was able to hear this podcast.
Okay, so we're going to invite him to
yes,
to listen. How's that?
So we've all heard about collective intelligence, but is there such thing as collective stupidity? And this is are there energy connections here where people do stupid things and then they get other people to follow them to do stupid things? Or even the beliefs are some really strange things. We might take some of those apart and look at them.
I like that. And by the way, we're going to have fun with this, aren't we?
We are.
Okay.
And we're going to show you how a person can have academic intelligence, but also a form of stupidity.
Oh, that's a toughie.
This may shock you. You may feel vindicated. Anybody who wants true discernment in their life has to listen to this show. It's going to be a biggie.
Absolutely love that. So, Jason, tell everyone about how the show might have touched their heart today.
Well, we know that work for you is personal. Even though
for everyone
it's not supposed to be personal, but it is.
Yes.
And you spend a lot of time there. It makes a big difference. And so you're saying, oh, this isn't, I don't want to quit, but I don't know what I'm going to do next, but I'm not happy what I'm doing and what I'm working. This is the way. Applying the ecosystem approach is your first step.
Right.
And the way you do that, the first thing you do is you go to our website right now, theecosystemapproach.org. Sign up for our free newsletter. It's all free. It's the free section.
Right.
There's a whole bunch of content that you have access to once you sign up for the free section.
Right.
And you'll get a weekly list of the clearings that we do every week.
And by the way, people, the place where I hear about it the most is I had to take 5 minutes and look at the clearings that were on my phone from last week's show or my favorite show, because I couldn't handle one more second of my job. And by the way,
or negative energy or negative situation.
All right. So
it's the best way to get relief in your life.
Exactly.
So, and if you want to go to our website page, theecosystemapproach.org, we have sorry, I'm hearing noises. We're in the middle of a big snowstorm, so
exactly.
there's rumbling. I don't know what's going on, but we have all of our videos are there, and so if you're there, please go like us. We appreciate that.
Exactly. We'll connect next week, Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific and 4 p.m. Eastern Time. This is Transformation Talk Radio, and you're listening to the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia.
Remember, your ecosystem is the most important one in the world.
Thank you for listening to the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia. I'm Patricia. Tune in every week as we discuss practical ways to apply the ecosystem approach and develop your potential to live your life on your terms. For more information, visit our website at theecosystemapproach.org.